everybody, Pastor Travis here. We're all stuck in some level of quarantine to some degree or another, and it has us all thinking about how we can use this amazing technology that we have these days to carry on. And you know what? I probably should have started this a long time ago, but I'd like to start sending you little short videos to address various things or whatever. I don't know how often they will be. Once this idea came about that I could make these short little videos to address you, oh my goodness, I especially wanted to address the situation going on with the COVID-19 scare and quarantine, and you know, if perhaps you're worried about getting it, or maybe you're more like me, you're less concerned about getting it, more concerned about what the economy is going to be like. And of course, I need to get out some information about church finances and what our church is going to be doing, since I'm pastor of our church, and all of these things. But as all of these topics that I wanted to make a short video about were swirling in my mind, it dawned on me that there was one that was far more important than the others. And so that is the one that I want to get out to you first. I caught myself thinking a certain way. Certain thoughts crept into my head, and I'm not even going to blame these on the devil. This was just me and my attitude. And once I realized how wrong they were, I thought, you know what, I'm probably not the only one having these thoughts. And so I thought I would make this video for the rest of you who might be thinking in a similar way. What happened to me was, of course, not only do I care about the spread of the gospel and the kingdom and whether or not we are going to be able to meet together and worship, but this is my vocational job. In fact, this is my full-time job. This is my family's primary source of income. And so all of the worries and concerns came, you know. First, of course, I was worried about older relatives and my father, who's dealing with recovery from cancer and things like that. All of their immune systems are compromised, and they might be susceptible, so I don't want to get it, and I certainly don't want to transfer it to them. And then, of course, as everything shuts down, I begin to wonder, oh my goodness, how many people are still going to be able to donate to church? What's going to happen to my salary? And you know, and the idea popped into my mind, I guess now we're really going to have to rely on God. Now, don't get me wrong. When hard times come, you need to take stock and remember that God is in control. But what shocked me about myself was I said this to myself as if I had not been relying on God previously. And this isn't the first time I've realized I have a problem with this. And I feel like probably a lot of Christians in America today, we have a problem with this. We don't rely on God. And I'm not one to say we shouldn't use our brains and we shouldn't do all of those things, but I think that if you have thought to yourself, oh, I was relying on myself back when I could take care of myself, but now that things have gotten bad, I need to rely on God. I want you to just realize the error in that way of thinking. 2 months ago, when none of us cared about any of this stuff, we were still living at the mercy of God Almighty. The only reason we have air to breathe, the only reason we have all of our limbs, if you are lucky enough to have all of your limbs and the ability to work and have a job and whatever your personal abilities are that allow you to perform that job, doctor, lawyer, ditch digger, people manager, whatever it is, the only reason you have enough intelligence to perform your job and be self-reliant is because the God of all the universe willed that you would be born with those talents, abilities, and if you are fortunate enough to not have serious defects that prevent you working, or serious illnesses that prevent you from working, you have no one else to thank but God. If you had a good upbringing that taught you the value of hard work and determination and ingenuity, you didn't choose your parents. You have nobody but God to thank. And so I don't want to belabor the point too much, but I believe that the Lord allows hard times to come to remind us that we are dependent on Him, because when times are easy, we forget that we are dependent on Him, even though it is true all the time. I just wanted to point you in the direction of James chapter 4, verses 13 through 17. James, the earthly brother of Jesus himself, gives us some advice. Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast and brag. All such boasting is evil. Anyone then who knows the good he ought to do and doesn't do it sins. And so I just wanted to remind you today that we encourage you to use your brain. We encourage you to use your own best judgment as to what level of quarantine you need to use for yourself. We want you to be smart. We want you to wash your hands. We want you to work hard at this. But above all, understand that when you're at the end of your human ability to provide for yourself and take care of yourself, and you turn to God, you need to realize that you have been relying on God this whole time, especially in the areas of salvation. Not only can we not make it in this life without God, but we definitely cannot make it in the next life without the God of the universe. And so, if you are not a servant of the God of the universe, if you are someone who is so independent that you do not realize your dependence upon the Lord, I pray that you would turn your life over to God. Quit fighting Him, quit fighting His control, and that you would become a follower of Jesus. And I pray for all Christians and people who claim to follow Jesus, that we would humble ourselves before God. And